Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 61st annual meeting of Indiana Landmarks. I'm Marsh Davis, president of Indiana Landmarks, and I'm joined today by Sarah Edgerton, the chair of our board of directors.
Thank you, Marsh. I'm pleased to be here also, and along with our viewers, hopefully celebrating the work of Indiana Landmarks, a truly wonderful organization.
Normally, we would gather in person with members and friends here at Indiana Landmarks Center, our state headquarters in Indianapolis. Last year, the pandemic prompted us to take our meeting online. At the time, we never imagined we'd be here again, but in the interest of health and safety, we decided to go virtual one more time. To everyone watching, thank you for joining us on the small screen. Let's all do our part to get beyond COVID so that by this time next year, we can all gather together in person.
Agreed. Before we get started, I'd like to thank our sponsors for today's event, the Penrod Society, Ratio Architects, and Road Pictures. Because this is our annual meeting, one of the tasks we always do is elect the board of directors. To do this, I will turn things over to Charlita Winston, who is the chair of the board governance committee. So take it away, Charlita.
Thank you, Sarah. Each year, Indiana Landmarks conducts elections to select individuals to serve on the organization's board of directors. Typically, members vote on board elections at Indiana Landmarks' annual meeting. This year, however, we invited members to vote online. As chair of the Indiana Landmarks Board Governance Committee, I'm pleased to present the results of those elections. In addition to myself, the committee members include board members Ellen Swisher-Crabb, Sherry Dick, Sarah Edgerton, Sarah Linkleiter, Doris Ann Sadler, and former board member Ralph Nowak. The committee receives staff assistance from Marsh Davis and Jessica Kramer. Before presenting our new directors, we'd first like to recognize two retiring directors who have served 2 consecutive 3-year terms, the limit our bylaws allow, except in the case of officers. For their valuable service and leadership, we thank Ed Clear of New Albany and George Rogie of Gary. And now it is my privilege to welcome the following individuals to the board of directors. Alelia Bundles, an accomplished author and journalist living in Washington, D.C., is the great-great-granddaughter of entrepreneur Madam C.J. Walker. Alelia's biography, On Her Own Ground, The Life and Times of Madam C.J. Walker, inspired the 2020 Netflix series Self-Made. She maintains deep ties to her hometown of Indianapolis and has been active in recent efforts to advocate for thoughtful development of Indiana Avenue, home of the historic Madam Walker Legacy Center. Greg Fairbach lives in Indianapolis, where he is an attorney affiliated with Toohey, Bailey & Moore, LLP, a local and national leader in accessibility and inclusion for people with disabilities. Greg serves as the presidentially appointed chairman of the United States Access Board, and he has made a career of protecting the integrity of historic buildings while making places accessible for everyone. Greg first served on Indiana Landmarks Board from 2013 to 2019, and we are pleased to welcome Greg back. Kurt Toller lives in Indianapolis, where he is the senior vice president of Stens Corporation, a commercial real estate and construction firm. He has a long-held passion for historic properties and currently serves as a representative of Indiana Landmarks on the board of the Athenaeum Foundation, as well as the boards of the Joseph Malley Foundation and the Hamilton County Area Neighborhood Development. Board members elected this year will serve 3-year terms, expiring in 2024. To lend continuity, board members generally serve 2 consecutive terms for a total of 6 years. The following board members have been elected to second terms, also ending in September of 2024. Ellen Swisher-Crabb, Indianapolis, Olin Dotson of Muncie, Peter Sikopoulos, Terre Haute, Rob Santa, Bloomington, John Ziglis, Culver, Bo Zeller, Henryville. Indiana Landmarks bylaws allow terms to be extended for those in officer positions. This year, 4 board members have been elected to serve 1-year terms as officers. Parker Beecham, past chair, Sarah Edgerton, chair, Doris Ann Sadler, vice chair, Randall Shepard, honorary chair. The Board Governance Committee's role also includes drafting a slate of officers for approval by the board itself. At the annual meeting of the board earlier today, we elected the following slate of officers for the governance year beginning today and ending with September board meeting in 2022. Randall Shepard, Honorary Chair; Sarah Edgerton, Chair; Parker Beecham, Past Chair; Doris Ann Sadler, Vice Chair; Hillary Barnes, Secretary and Assistant Treasurer; Thomas Engel, Assistant Secretary; Brett McCamey, Treasurer; Marsh Davis, President; Judy O'Bannon, Secretary Emerita. On behalf of the Board Governance Committee, I'd like to thank each one of these folks for their dedicated service to Indiana Landmarks. And now I hope you're ready to be inspired as you hear about the winners of our annual Servas Awards. For that, I'll turn it over to our Honorary Chairman, the Honorable Randall Shepard. Randy chairs our Servas Awards Committee, and he'll tell you about this year's outstanding honorees.
Hello, fellow members and friends of Indiana Landmarks. I'm Randy Shepard, and I'm pleased to be with you today, virtually, presenting Indiana Landmarks' 46th Annual Servas Memorial Award, recognizing achievement in saving, protecting, and celebrating historic places, and honoring programs that educate young people about preservation. The award recognizes the legacy of Sandy Servas, a dynamic member of the Indiana Landmarks staff until her untimely death in 1975. Sandy championed preservation as a tool to revitalize communities, and in her short time with Indiana Landmarks, she helped set the direction of the organization's mission. The Servas Awards include cash prizes thanks to the support of Sandy's family. A generous bequest from Sandy's mother, Jean, who passed away in 2015, ensures our ability to present the awards long into the future. I'm honored to chair the Servas Award Committee, which this year included Kira Amstutz, Mike Corbett, Tom Greist, Ron Morris, Michael Rodman, Shirlita Winston, assisted by staff members Marsh Davis and Suzanne Stannis. We received nominations from the public. Indeed, self-nominations are welcome, and the selection committee chooses the winner. The judges look for a documented record of success and lasting community benefit. Speaking of which, it's hard to imagine anything that benefits a community more than nurturing its young people. The winner of this year's Servas Award in the Youth Serving category used the threat to a community icon and the subsequent battle to save it as inspiration for a program designed to instill a love of local history and architecture in its youngest residents. In 2005, the Randolph County Commissioners voted to demolish the 1875 County Courthouse in Winchester, earning it a spot on Indiana Landmark's 10 Most Endangered list and sparking a vigorous grassroots campaign to save the landmark. County officials yielded and reversed their decision, moving forward with an $8.2 million rehabilitation at the courthouse, including reconstructing a clock tower that had been removed in the 1950s. Beginning in 2019, the Community Foundation of Randolph County teamed up with Randolph County United, an economic, tourism, and chamber partnership, to bring every third grader in the county to downtown Winchester, where students tour the historic courthouse and learn firsthand about the community's extraordinary drive to save the building. The kids tour other sites as well, including the Randolph County Historical Society Museum, located in the historic Carrie Goodrich House. Students interact with artifacts and first-person interpreters throughout the downtown to learn about Randolph County's history, from its early pioneers to its more recent automotive heritage at the Winchester Motor Speedway. In 2021, nearly 400 students participated in the program. To honor the valuable initiative, Indiana Landmarks is pleased to award the Community Foundation of Randolph County and Randolph County United the Servas Memorial Award. We look forward to presenting the $1,000 check and the Servas sculpture No Doors to Lock Out the Past, created by Evansville artist John McNaughton at the Community Foundation's annual meeting in November. This year's organizational Servas Award goes to Musée de Venoge, recognizing the group's extraordinary effort to save a rare landmark and tell its story. Constructed in 1828 in a French-Swiss settlement outside present-day Vevey, the tiny cottage, a rare example of early French colonial architecture, was targeted by a local fire department for firefighting exercises in the 1990s before Donna Weaver, her late husband Tom, and their friend Paul Venard stepped up to save it. The trio formed the nonprofit Musée de Venoge, Inc., named for a creek on the property called Venoge by the area's Swiss settlers after a river in their native country. Like so many preservation projects, this one took great patience and persistence. The group listed the property on the National Register of Historic Places and embarked on a nearly 20-year restoration, relying almost solely on volunteer labor. Donna's research supplemented physical clues to the property's history. She located letters of the house's first occupants, Jacob and Charlotte Weaver, no relation to Donna, who lived in the house with 7 of their 10 children. Donna's findings guided interpretation of the site as the home of a middle-class family in the early 19th century. Today, Musée de Venoge engages visitors through tours and living history events, inviting people of all ages to learn more about the area's French, Swiss heritage and the cottage's unusual architectural provenance. As the pandemic limited in-person visitation in 2020, the group sought ways to bring Musée de Venoge's story to new audiences, creating a YouTube channel with videos showcasing the site's restoration and history. They also developed a documentary for sale on DVD based on Jacob Weaver's letters. For the group's heroic efforts to save the property and tell its story, we will be happy to present Musée de Venoge with a $2,000 check and the Servas sculpture. Congratulations to both winners. Keep up the good work.
As we do every year, we've had great candidates for the Cook Cup. Our friends at Road Pictures have done a wonderful job in telling the story of the former manufacturing center that now has become a hub for a different kind of innovation.
Indiana Landmarks created the award in 2007, and we gave the very first cup to the Cook family for their transformation of the West Baden Springs Hotel, and to acknowledge both the high restoration standards and the positive community impact their projects inspire.
Welcome to the P.R. Mallory Building, home of Paramount School of Excellence and my school, Purdue Polytechnic High School. You might not recognize the Mallory name, but you've got to recognize these. The first Duracell batteries were made right here.
Since the 1900s, this location's been a lot of different things.
First it was a baseball park, then it was an amusement park with a water slide, then it was a factory.
But in 1979, the P.R. Mallory Company left, and after that it really became an empty building. I mean, I grew up a few blocks away from here. There was really nothing going on.
So in 2018, Englewood Community Development Corporation and John Bonner Neighborhood Centers came up with another invention, a plan to turn this building into charter schools. They formed P.R. Mallory LLC. This is the money they needed, and here are just a few of the people it took to raise it.
Everybody wanted it to happen. The city wanted it, Indianapolis Neighborhood Housing Partnership, the Mine Trust, United Way, and I don't think we had a more vocal cheerleader and supporter than Indiana Landmarks throughout this whole process. This is one of the most iconic sites on East Washington Street, and for it to be abandoned, for it to be just a symbol of kind of what happened to the neighborhood, to see it today is the exact opposite. This was a cradle of invention in our community. We are now training the next generation of inventors.
Most people don't understand electrochemistry.
It's all about how the electrons flow from the anode to the cathode.
One of the primary goals of this project was to be able to blend the historic character of this building with the distinctly different pieces of the two tenants in the facility. We had a high school, Purdue Polytech. Purdue space, we were able to use garage doors. We needed lots of open space where they could move freely between spaces and do lots of collaboration. And then Paramount School of Excellence is a middle school program that's a little bit more traditional in terms of their setup, and so they needed more acoustical separation, more traditional classrooms.
We're excited here at Paramount. We feel the love from the resources, from the history that's within the walls, from the bricks to the wood details. Students respect and love those details, so it just adds to their learning environment day in and day out.
One of the other major challenges of this building was just the contamination on the site. We hauled off about 4,200 tons of contaminated soil.
But in spite of all of the challenges, the P.R. Mallory Building is now listed in the National Register of Historic Places.
I love how they kept a few pieces of the building. They didn't take everything and make it new. There's some woodwork here that is fantastic, that holds that spirit of innovation in it. These students are making history. All they have to do is meet the eligible requirements, and then they do not have to compete with others. They are directly admitted to Purdue University.
There's even more history being made here. This building is called the Bunker Building. It's home to our robotics lab and Uplift Produce, a hydroponic growing operation. It's like right out of the future.
This building is a plant paradise. We grow leafy greens from seed to finish within 14 days. It was built back in World War II, so it's a very solid foundationally, and ultimately it's 60,000 square feet end to end, where we're partnering up with folks like Englewood Community Development Corporation here in the neighborhood to bring jobs.
I really wish everybody could have seen what it looked like to begin with. The decay that it was in, all the peeling paint, the basement especially is so dark and dingy, and you really just couldn't imagine how it could have transformed into something like this. This is a place that students are going to be able to come for years and have a great education and have a tie to the community that they'll want to either return to or give back to in some way, to really support the community for a number of years to come.
I want to go into IT.
I want to go into nursing.
I want to work for NASA.
I want to be an architect.
I think Mr. Mallory would be proud.
Congratulations to P.R. Mallory LLC for the inspiring transformation of the P.R. Mallory Building, winner of Indiana Landmarks 2021 Cook Cup for Outstanding Restoration.
Thanks to everyone involved in that amazing project. And I'd like especially to recognize our friends at Road Pictures for their generosity and skill in telling the story. The transformation of the P.R. Mallory complex in Indianapolis shows the potential embodied by historic places, even ones where rescue and revitalization seem almost unimaginable. It's just the kind of creative solution we look for when we name places to the 10 most endangered list.
And that's a tool that really does work. Since 1991, Landmarks has entered 152 properties on the most endangered list. Of that, we've only lost 20, and 97 places are completely restored or no longer endangered.
We hope you'll agree that the places you're about to see are too important to lose. Obviously, we have our work cut out for us, but one of my favorite parts of every annual meeting is sharing some of our success stories from the past year, and I can tell you it's been a year like no other. Even in the middle of the pandemic, our staff's dedication never flagged. They carried on every day, logging a lot of miles and a lot of hours on Zoom to keep the work of preservation moving forward around the state. I could not be prouder of them and of their work. So now, it's my pleasure to show you just a few of our favorite saves over the past year.
When 23 historic houses came up for auction in Wabash, Indiana Landmarks seized an opportunity to make a big impact. We bought 7 of the most architecturally significant properties in the East Wabash Historic District. We're making repairs and adding curb appeal before selling them to buyers ready to complete restoration. In Richmond, Indiana Landmarks helped resolve ownership issues that landed Reed Memorial Presbyterian Church on our 10 Most Endangered list. It's a major step forward in finding a new use for the vacant 1906 church, considered a standout for its collection of stained glass windows and furnishings designed by New York's Tiffany Studios. In Batesville, another former 10 Most Endangered entry is in good hands. An eclectic mix of architectural styles, the home languished in the custody of an out-of-state bank before Indiana Landmarks helped attract a new local owner who plans to use it as space for arts, culture, and enrichment programs for women. A lightning strike in August 2019 sparked a fire at the 1879 O'Hare House in rural Putnam County. Though his insurance company called the building a total loss, the owner recognized its historic value and donated the property to Indiana Landmarks. We installed a new roof and made other repairs, and found new owners who have already begun to restore the home. In 2020, Indiana Landmarks took on exterior restoration of Vernon's 1884 Levitt House. We peeled off aluminum siding to reveal original Queen Anne details, replaced missing elements, and added fresh paint. The house was then sold to new owners in July. The Haven Hubbard House had been vacant for nearly a decade when our local affiliate, Historic New Carlisle, raised concerns about its future. Indiana Landmarks negotiated an agreement to buy the house and sold it with preservation covenants protecting the exterior and interior details, including original woodwork and built-ins, fireplaces, and exquisite parquet floors. When demolition threatened New Albany's 1885 Burr House, Indiana Landmarks partnered with Develop New Albany and Caesars Foundation of Floyd County to acquire the property. A developer then restored the house inside and out before passing the property on to new owners. An Indianapolis couple discovered Ligonier's Ahavas Shalom Synagogue for sale on Indiana Landmarks' website and decided to adapt the structure as a new home. The owners, who are well underway with their restoration, have donated a preservation easement protecting the former temple's exterior and original stained glass windows. Miller Parrott Lofts opened earlier this year in Terre Haute, capping an $11.7 million redevelopment project. The 1915 factory building had been vacant for years when Indiana Landmarks reached out to prospective developers with a track record of rehabilitating historic structures. We found the perfect partners in Flaherty and Collins and the Sisters of Providence, who collaborated to transform the building into affordable housing for senior citizens. You can find more inspiring stories at indianalandmarks.org.
I am always inspired to see what Indiana Landmarks has achieved and continues to achieve. It makes me particularly proud to be with this organization and to serve in a leadership function.
Well, thank you, Sarah. We truthfully could not do it without the leadership of you and our stellar board of directors. And thanks to all of you for joining us today. We're so grateful for the ongoing support of our members and donors. If you're not already a member, I hope you'll consider joining. We'd love to have you among our members. We're still hard at work around the state, so even though we can't gather in person, be sure to watch our magazine, website, e-letters, and social media for the latest news. Well, that's it for Indiana Landmarks annual meeting this year. So on behalf of Charlita, Randy, and Sarah, and all of us at Indiana Landmarks, we greatly look forward to seeing you soon, again and in person. Until then, please take care and be well.